Hello, it's Dan the Real Estate Guy coming to you from my home office with one of my favorite inspirational real estate transaction stories. I've told this story many times over the year because it illustrates so many different things. One of the key things is that how you can work with private parties, private investors, to fund your transactions in such a way that it's win-win for everybody, big time. Remember I said at the website we're going to have core training here, basic real estate stuff, some advanced stuff and intermediate as well. Then we're going to have on-site training on current transactions that I'm doing now to teach you those deals. But we're also going to look back in the vault, so to speak, and talk about some great lessons that were learned when I bought all the properties in the 90s in the down market then. Remember, we're trying to work this beat up down market. That last down market provided a lot of lessons that you can use. If you didn't go through it and you didn't work it, no problem, because you can experience some of it through me. Remember, you might have, if you followed the story, you might remember I had a brother and another partner. The three of us worked real hard together to buy 150 properties leading up to some large apartment complexes. But we started off with some duplexes, triplexes, 8-unit buildings, things like that, because houses were tough to sell at that point. Remember, you get to react to your marketplace. Right now I can buy and sell some houses. But back then, the number of closed transactions per month dropped pretty low. And we decided, let's generate some income from income-producing properties. We went crazy with it because we thought that it was the only down market we were going to experience. We didn't know we were going to get handed this one. And this one's bigger and better. And all those lessons now can be used again here. Things were a little bit different then, and we'll talk about the differences. One of them being the way lenders lent money. As you know, this time around, they lent money and sold it off, or they lent other people's money. They're basically servicers. You can think of them as lenders, but they don't have the money anymore. They're servicing for somebody else. They don't own the loan, so to speak, anymore in most cases. Back then, lenders lent more of their own money, and they had internal committee meetings inside the bank once or twice a month to make a decision on things like our offers, okay, plus all the other stuff banks do. So we're always working on properties. Remember, we didn't want to say no to any lender, any bank, because we thought it was the only down market. We thought if we said no, we wouldn't get to buy any more. All right? So we were always overextended. We had at one point, 3 full-time construction crews, right? A general contractor on staff. Someone tried to keep all those projects going. But we always had properties waiting to be worked on that weren't generating any income. So sometimes when you do that, you're working as fast as you can to get these things fixed up, get them rented out. We also had a property manager right in-house, right? Get those things rented up, generate that income because you've got payments on those, all right? So you got to get that in. At one point, I think we had almost 15 buildings waiting to be worked on. That's tough. That's really tough. We had to make a lot of sacrifices to make it through that period, and it's hard. But we wanted to gather up that property for our futures, just like you can do now. So getting back to this 4-unit, we get a call one day from a bank, and they want to know what we would pay for this 4-unit building. It's kind of on a 1 to 10 neighborhood, it's probably a 5. You know, it's not real bad and it's not good. It's kind of in the middle. 4 units boarded up. Remember, they don't board them up just because they're in bad shape. They sometimes are in pretty good shape, but they're boarding them up to keep them safe, right? They don't want them to get vandalized or anything like that. Make it a little harder for the vandal, right? He'll move on to another property. But we suspected the property's in decent shape, but probably going to need some work. We were trying to buy time with a low offer. At that point, a 4-unit building in good shape would bring in $1,600 in this part of town, $1,600 in rent, $400 per unit, 4 units, $1,600 a month. We knew that. Probably would appraise for $125 at that point, and we made a low offer. The reason we made a low offer isn't because we were going to get the building low, we thought. We thought we were just buying time until they're going to go back to another committee meeting, and they're going to counter us, and then we're going to counter them. And we're going to buy some time while we fix up properties and get them rented out and be in better position to buy that property when the thing comes together. Well, to our surprise, they said yes to $25,000 for a 4-unit building. Took us a little bit by surprise. We didn't have the money at the time. We're working and trying to do that, but we knew we could raise that money. After all, this one's a no-brainer. That's why I like it as an example. Think about this. If you've already started to develop relationships with some hard money lenders, some private parties that can't get a good return with their money, it's sitting in a bank, they're afraid of the stock market, they don't know what to do with these bonds, it's a hard time right now for investors. You come along and you have enough real estate knowledge that you've learned from us, and maybe you're doing some other study, and maybe you've already done some transactions, but if you know enough, just like I told you in the other blocks, if you know enough and you have the deal, you can attract the money. Think about this situation. We have an accepted contract at 25 grand for a building that could bring in 400 per unit. So this building isn't hurting us, even though we're strapped. We realize this is an opportunity to raise some cash safely. Safe for the investor, safe for us. So we go ahead and call up an investor and say, look, this thing's accepted at 25 grand, a little bit surprising to us, but how about a $50,000 loan against this property? That would give us, after closing costs, enough money to fix this property up, and probably more than we needed. And we could put that money in some other property, fix it up, and rent it out as well. You see, that's a win-win all the way around. Everybody's winning here. So the investor has no problem with that. The way these deals work, of course, is they just put the money in escrow. We have a note and deed of trust recorded, drawn up and recorded by the title company. That investor is protected. He's protected more, obviously, as soon as we get it up and running and fixed up and the rent coming in, right? And he knows we're going to do that. We had to establish a relationship and a track record with this particular person. So we go ahead and close that escrow. Think about that. $50,000 goes in escrow. The purchase price is $25,000. The closing cost probably around $2,000, no more than $3,000 by the time you're all done with something like that, probably less than $2,000. So you end up getting the property, and then you get the difference. So you pick up a check in the neighborhood of $22,000 to $23,000. We take the check and we run over there and meet our crew, take the boards off, take a look. How much of the $20,000, $22,000 is going to go in the property? In this particular case, we were happy to see that it wasn't a lot. We're going to need to do a little flooring, we're going to need to buy an oven or two, a hot water heater or two. Whatever it wasn't a lot. I recall being happy about the fact that it wasn't going to take a lot in money and or in time before we could start renting these units up. As soon as we have 2 units rented, that will be $800 a month. We've now gotten the payment covered. We remember from other lessons that when you borrow the money and you close an escrow, you're going to pay interest. If you close in the middle of a month, you're going to prorate and pay the rest of that month's interest. But interest is normally paid in arrears. So if you pay the rest of the month interest, on the first of the next month, there's no payment. You've already paid it. So you have 30 more days before the next payment is due to pay for interest in arrears, that month behind you, right? So by paying some interest through escrow, we basically have 45 days before we have to pay that investor any money at all. That gives us time to get a crew in there, get what little bit of work done on this property that it needs, get the for rent signs up, get the property manager active in marketing that property for rent. You're now supplying a good product at a good price, a nice clean unit for $400 a month. You rent a couple up and now you have $800 coming in, you rent the other 2, and now you have $1,600 a month coming in, plus you have whatever's left of that $22,000 to $23,000. How great is that? You know, you probably have heard of these techniques if you've studied this market at all, not so much the market, but the techniques. Some of these things have been taught since the beginning of time, right? They are doable. We did them. We're not talking theory, all right? So we get that fixed up. Probably didn't cost more than $5 or $6 grand to get that property in top order. Get to take the rest of that money and put it towards what other fix-up you got going on other ones. Remember, there may have been others that we popped the boards off and it was worse than we thought. By doing lots of them, it kind of averages out. Of course, you're going to have a little bit of property taxes, but not much. You're going to have some management costs, but again, not real high. Typical manager takes anywhere from 6 to 8% of the gross rent. We usually worked on a flat fee, and I still today work, by the way, with the same manager. Still work with the same guy. Actually, we had a different one in those days, but we also worked with this gentleman, and he's still around, and he's still managing some of my properties. All right, and we work with a flat fee per unit on that, and it's a little bit less than probably what the market pays other folks. So We have the money left over to fix up other properties and generate more income. We have the property up and running, generating $1,600 minus a little bit of probably county utility. Property taxes are paid twice a year, but I like to think of it as monthly. Again, not big on a purchase like this. So you're roughly looking at $1,000 a month positive cash flow, certainly $950, somewhere in that area. So for those of you that maybe your goal was just to generate another $500 to $1,000 a month in income for your family, this one deal would have done it. You need to dig in your neighborhoods and find out if there's anything like this coming up now or available now. Sure, the numbers might be twice this. It might be $50,000 you're paying for a property worth $195,000. You know, rents might not be $400 a month in your area. It might be $650. And we'll work all the numbers with you on other videos. We'll show you how to put the pieces together. The bottom line is you'll know what to offer, and if you get an offer accepted low, you'll be able to attract the money right into escrow. That investor's taken care of with a note and deed of trust, title insurance. You know, things are good. Things are good for the investor. Things are good for you. You'll then provide, remember, it's always win-win. Then you'll provide work for people who do the work to get these things ready. Insurance guy will get paid. Title people will get paid. You know, things are moving right along there. The tenants will be happy when you provide the best units in the area at the best rents. Again, win-win everywhere. You're always winning. They're always winning. Everybody around you is winning. When you're getting paid, everybody around you is getting paid. You're doing something good. All right? This is what makes America work. All right? People that get up and get it done every day, when they do well for themselves, everybody around them gets paid. All right? Very exciting story. Watch it again if you need to. Some very basic concepts, very simple concepts that you can use in your marketplace, if not now, very, very soon. All right? We'll give you some pointers later in other videos on how to check what methods work in your area. We'll see you on the next video. I appreciate you being a member. I'm going to be with you throughout this market. Let's hear your success stories. You pull one of these down, I want to hear about it. All right? These are fun. I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.